What we covered, just a brief review of what we covered in the last session. We talked a little bit about why CAA was decided that NationBuilder was the solution for all of your association clubs. Particularly that as you're attempting to really grow and organize your club communities, it's going to be a great system for both having a public website for your club, but also being able to upload your list of members and manage the relationships with them so that you can effectively have them RSVP for club events, take dues through your website, have them sign up for volunteer opportunities, and really just in general organize and maintain all of the relationships of your club members and new members that you're hoping to bring in. So with the first session, we focused primarily on some of the basics of setting up your website, like adding some of these lovely photo images, the background from the Columbia Football Stadium, and aligning the different actions you can have people take on your club website into the navigation bars throughout your CAA site that you can set up. So today we're going to start diving in a little bit more into some of the specifics about how these pages or actions that we're creating for people to take on our website can actually really tie into your database of members, and then also kind of serve as a way for you to then communicate and mass with those folks via email blast, and if you choose to, text messaging. So our full agenda for today, as I've mentioned previously, NationBuilder has many templates of different actions you can have members of your club take on your website. One of the most common ones that you'll probably all be taking advantage of is having folks RSVP for events. So we're going to go through the process of setting up an event page from end to end, where we'll include not really a discussion of how to add content, because theoretically we're up to speed on that from phase one, but more about how once people are RSVP for an event, we can decide to sell tickets to that event, manage RSVPs and attendees, and then also kind of tie in some of NationBuilder's organizing functionality so that someone within your club organization can be responsible for anyone who RSVPs, and then maintain some sort of engagement with them going forward to either remind them to come to the event or get them more involved with the club going forward. We'll do a slight review of some of the other pages that are available to us, including having folks sign up to volunteer. But then the next action we'll really focus on being able to set up on our site is for people to be able to pay their dues through the NationBuilder paid membership page. We'll go over the mechanics of that, and as you'll kind of notice with both of these actions so far, they're going to require you to have potentially a bank account linked up to your club site. So as part of the steps for this part of training, it will be helpful for you to have linked up your club PayPal account into your NationBuilder database. So I'll make sure to highlight where you would have done that if you haven't yet, and there's definitely resources on the Columbia One site for the step-by-step instructions if you haven't been able to do that so far. So both of these actions will obviously, as we've seen with NationBuilder, be just one of the ways that new people can enter your database. This will provide us a little bit of fodder to talk about how we can then find groups of individuals from our database and use that as a way of sending communications out from the control panel. So we'll be able to review how we can draft a quick email blast to folks. So that's kind of our three main focuses for today: getting our event RSVPs up and running on our club sites, being able to take membership dues through our club site, and then also once we have some folks in our database, being able to send them email blasts. So it looks like you're seeing my incorrect display, so let me flip that up to the site. There we go. So the first thing we'll do here is go ahead and log in to the Nation. So each of you should now have, if you've signed your terms and conditions, access to your NationBuilder control panel. So I'm going to sign in here to the Columbia Association of Australia site. And once I'm signed in order to go to set up an action for someone to take on my website, I'll need to go into the website tab, click into the site that I'd like to add the action to or change an action on. And then that'll bring up my list of pages. We did a little bit of looking at this in phase 1 in that we were adding some content to these pages. But for the most part, we really focused on setting up the site settings as opposed to the settings of the individual pages. As you'll kind of remember in NationBuilder, whenever you see a setting, it's like an umbrella of what it's going to affect. The settings up here at the top will really impact something across the entire nation, not just the website. If you're wanting to change like the visual basics of your website, that'll generally live here under site settings. But if we want to change how an individual action works, we're going to need to go into the page where that action lives and then modify the settings from there. So in the case of events, you've got as part of your site already a calendar page, which can be kind of like a parent page that holds multiple different kinds of events for your club. If you get really advanced down the line, you may be able to create multiple calendars, some which hold meetup events, another calendar that holds more internal events for your club to organize around. It really depends on how you want to organize it, but for the time being, we'll just start with a single calendar. So in order to get into that calendar, we'll click on its slug, which is how NationBuilder identifies that in the database. And first thing we'll see here is that here in the 4th position, generally with some of our pages so far, we really haven't had settings that are specific to that type of action. In a basic page, for instance, this tab that I'm highlighting right now just says content, because the only thing you can do on a basic page is add pictures or text to it. But with action pages like calendars or events or paid memberships, as we'll see a little bit later, they're going to have specific settings about how people will interact with the database once you have them take an action on that page. Or you can also change kind of what information you want to gather from people when they're filling out that form. So we'll see a little bit more of this in action once we start a new event. So when you're on a calendar, to create a new event, click on the Events and Subpages link. And remember, subpages are going to appear beneath. If we have them in our navigation, they're going to appear in a drop-down menu beneath the parent page that we're on. So if you have your calendar in your top nav, all of the events that you create underneath it will automatically show up in a drop-down on your live website. So we've clicked into events, and now we need to create a new one. This is a similar process to creating any other new page. And today's event is going to be a local meetup for the club. You'll see that when I typed in the title of the page, it automatically generated the slug, which is where you'll be able to direct people to find this event to RSVP on the website. It'll be at the name of the website / that slug. I'm going to move the page to published so that it's live on our website, and then click Create Page. Now you'll notice that this is a very similar layout to what we were seeing in the calendar page, in that there's this kind of settings tab that we've gone into a little bit in the last session, where it was how we can change the name of the page or whether or not it should appear in navigation or be published on the website. The kinds of settings that any page you create would have. But now, since we're editing specifically an event, it's going to have its own settings that dictate what we're asking people for when they come to RSVP. and then what will happen to them once they've completed that action. Like, for instance, being able to have a auto response email that gives them follow-up information, or a text keyword so that they can text in to take the RSVP action instead of having to come to the website. We'll review a couple of the options here, particularly some of the cooler ones, like being able to link this up with a Facebook event. But in general, it's going to be really, really key that once people RSVP for our events, that they get automatically routed to someone within our club, and we're set for a reminder of what kind of conversation we should have with them as a follow-up. So to do this, we're going to go into our advanced settings here. So go to event settings and then advanced. And this is going to be true of many of the actions you can set up. When you're on a petition page, for instance, you'll click into advanced settings as well to be able to set up these other organizing components. So the three things we want to be able to set up here are a new point person for people who RSVP. So this is going to be the member of your club organization that you've given access to your control panel here. And they're going to be responsible for maintaining the relationship going forward with this new club member who is RSVP'd. So we'll click there and select someone who already has access to this control panel. It's like Emily, you're the lucky one in this case. And next, we're going to want to say what type of reminder we want to give Emily on that new signups profile about the follow-up conversation she should have. So remember, you can customize these as you see fit. Maybe Emily is going to want to call all of the attendees, all of the RSVPs the day before the event to give them a reminder. So we'll set them for a follow-up for event reminder 2 days later. Maybe the event's in 3 days, so we'll just have that set to happen right before the event. And then finally, if we want to be able to identify folks who have taken this specific action at any point in the future in our database of people, we really do want to give them a little sticky note on their profile or a tag that ties them back to this specific event. So you'll come up with your own methodology for how you want to create tags in such a way that it makes sense to your club. In my experience, it's generally a really good practice when you add tags to actions like this to have the beginning of the tag be very descriptive in terms of what it's going to have people do, or specifically what people did. So not just that this is someone coming to the local meetup, but that this was someone who RSVP'd to an event that was the local meetup. That way you can easily search through your tags for what their meaning is as you continue to have more and more of them in your database. So I'll save that. And this page is now actually ready to take RSVPs. There's obviously a lot more we can do with this, but it is totally ready to take RSVPs at this point. Now, many of you will actually have club events where you want to take either dues at the door or even just charge for tickets if it's a fundraiser or a benefit for the club. So where you'll do this is actually going to also be under the event settings, so we can click back to that. And in order to take any kind of payments through your NationBuilder website, you're going to need to be connected to a bank account. Now, the recommendation from CAA has been that each club probably already has a PayPal account that they can easily link up to their NationBuilder account to be able to take these payments. So I'm not going to go through the steps of linking a PayPal account to your Nation, but I am going to show you all where that process begins. And there is a step-by-step guide available on our website and also within the Columbia One materials. So if you click here into your settings tab, you'll see an option here to click into a bank account. And at that point, you'll be able to create a new account, select PayPal, and then fill out your information to link that up to your nation. Then any action that requires someone to be able to pay through the website can be linked up to that bank account in the settings of that page's action. So for instance, I've actually already got an account linked up to Columbia 250 here. There's a Columbia training bank account linked up. So when I go to my event, under the basic settings here, I have the option of selling tickets. So now that I've selected that, it's going to ask me to redirect to another page to purchase tickets. In NationBuilder, anytime you have some kind of payment to process, it's going to, at this time, have to redirect to what we call a donation page. This is just another action page where you'll link up your bank account. It's not meant to process donations. Obviously, that's not something that clubs are doing, but it's the NationBuilder word for a page that processes payments. So you'll link up this event to the donate page so that once someone selects the ticket that they want to purchase, it'll send them to that page to make the payment. So once I've done that and I save the page, there's going to be a new tab that opens up where I can set up the levels of tickets that I want to sell for this particular event. Again, I don't know if I've mentioned this yet, but whenever you have this line of settings and you've got like event settings highlighted, right below that, all of these options are sub-options of event settings. So if we're looking for how to set up tickets under event settings, we'll be able to find it here in the second row. Note here that we can have many different ticket levels for this particular event. And all ticket levels have to be a paid level. So if you wanted to have people be able to come to an event for free, you could merely create the exact same event as another event page and then link to it from your paid event. So all you do here, create the ticket level, how much it's going to cost, and the number of tickets that will purchase, and then that will be incorporated automatically into your form on the public website. Silver, maybe gold is $10. You can save it right there. You can also, because of NationBuilder's deep integration between the website and social media, you can also attach a Facebook event to a NationBuilder event so that when people RSVP through Facebook, you don't even need to direct them back to your NationBuilder website. Those RSVPs can get pulled into your linked people database. So in order to do that, the best thing to do here is to come into the Facebook, into the social settings underneath the event settings. And if you have a link to your Facebook event, which I realize I don't have one handy, but if you did, you would copy the event here, paste the URL in here, and then the two events will be synced up. So as people RSVP through Facebook, NationBuilder will automatically pull them into your database in the same way that people actually RSVPing for the event on your website are pulled in. Another thing to note here is that there's a different mechanism in events for managing RSVPs and attendees. And someone RSVPing for your event is going to say that they're coming, but in order to actually confirm that they made it, you can have NationBuilder at the door of your event. And instead of having paper sign-in sheets, you can merely check off RSVPs as having attended. So that's why, as you noticed when we were setting up our tagging, there's the ability to automatically segment people out between folks who actually said they were coming, but people who actually showed up at the door. So in a little bit later in today's session, we'll see what it looks like for someone to RSVP for this event, how they'll come into the database, and then we'll be able to check them in underneath these event settings. So stay tuned for that for a little bit later in today's session. Again, we are just kind of scratching the surface on what's possible with these events. You can obviously also link them up so that someone can RSVP via text, have a host committee so that people can be shown as recruiters if they had individuals come to the event. Send out an auto-response email once someone RSVPs to give them further instructions about the event, where it's going to be, etc. All of this is extra icing on the cake, but the basic mechanics of setting up the event are all here. You're really going to want to make sure that someone is responsible on the other end of the action that's taken. So in this case, Emily is going to get flooded with new point people for our local meetup, and that she has an actionable thing to do with the people that RSVP. In this case, give them a reminder, phone call or email to make sure that they actually show up. Cool. So if you're curious about what other actions you can create through your NationBuilder website, you can always see a full list of all of the templates by creating a new page and then just scrolling down through the full list of all 30 pages. So in order to do that, you can just go back to your website, click here in the first link to create a new page, and you'll see a full list of all of the actions that you have available to you to create. Some of them will be more relevant than others, but I think events are a really key one. And we're going to also here now create a paid membership page so that you can accept dues through your club site. I know other clubs have already done things like collecting survey information from their members, so that each survey answer is automatically associated with a tag, so that you can easily then send up a follow-up email, for instance, to folks who answered a particular question in a particular way. So to create the paid membership page, you'll actually already have one as part of your website, so you won't need to create one, but I'm creating one just to demonstrate this process. We call this the Pay Your Dues page. Make sure it's published. And it's a pretty important action, so we'll include it in our top tab. So there's going to be, oh, looks like I already had this idea in the past. I'm all about action. Go ahead and create that page. So we're going to bounce around a little bit in NationBuilder as we create this membership page, and that's going to be because it's kind of straddling two major components of what we're setting up here. Number one, it's going to be an action someone can take on your website, but it's going to tie in deeply to the whole membership system that's created under your Finances tab. Now, the cool thing here with NationBuilder is that not only are memberships an opportunity to take dues from your existing club members, but there's a whole ability to structure your website so that there's certain sections that are visible only to dues-paying members. So we can see right now in this nation, under our Finances tab, that we do have a list of folks that have already been identified as members. In NationBuilder, whenever someone takes a specific supporter action, like becoming a member or signing up to volunteer, some of those have special flags and identifiers that you can easily see from an individual person's profile. But if we wanted to review our existing memberships and members, you can always do that under your Finances tab. You can easily see a summary of that. So we've got 157 members in this nation. And if you clicked into one of their profiles in our database, you would also be able to identify that they were a member because they have this little star on their profile. If you're ever curious what one of those icons means, just hover over it and it'll tell you. So members are stars. Volunteers have a little hand to indicate that they've raised their hand to help out. So the other thing that we can do from this Finances tab under Memberships is create differentiated levels of membership for people to have within our nation. Now, this may not be relevant for your club. You may just have all dues-paying members at the same level, totally egalitarian, but there is flexibility here to have people get different badges on their NationBuilder profiles based on what level of dues that they're paying. So in the case here, maybe we have bronze, silver. Obviously, the logical next membership level is gold. Apparently, it's all about precious metals with me and payments. So we've got a couple different membership levels here. And now when we go back to our membership page, we'll actually be able to set up how people can pay to acquire those levels. So again, you'll need to have a bank account linked through PayPal in order to take these payments. And you'll redirect people to either your donate or your dues page in order to process those payments. So I'm going to go back to my website tab where I've created this paid membership page. And as you can see, you're able to tag new members in the same way that you can tag people who take any other action, assign them to a point person within your organization, and maybe mark them for follow-up. Maybe a good idea would just be thanking them for paying their dues and updating them on upcoming events with the club. Really whatever you feel like, but that could be a good option. So obviously, under your paid membership settings, the first thing that we're seeing here is you have to choose a page to process the payment once people select which one they want. You can have a tracking code for any payments that come into your nation, so that once you see a summary of all the payments, they're separated out by kind of the source of how that payment came in. In the case of memberships here, we might have a tracking code for all of our 2014 dues payments, so we can easily run a report for how much money we raised off of dues in that particular year. So we'll save those settings. And as I mentioned before with tickets, memberships also have to be paid. So if you wanted to change someone to a dues-paying member without requiring them to pay through the website, you could toggle that underneath their person's profile, and we'll take a look at where you might do that in a few minutes. But you would also be able to enter their membership payment manually onto their profile if they happen to give you money offline or a check. But this is certainly a little bit easier to just direct people to pay their dues through your site. So we'll now click into the membership options underneath our paid membership settings. And this is going to be where you actually set up how to pay for those different levels that you can select. So we'll say that for our bronze dues members, it's going to be $10 for a year. And you're not going to want to have these renew automatically, because you'll want to follow up with your members on an annual basis so that their membership expires and they have to then pay to get access again. So again, you're just selecting the badge really, and then how much you want to charge someone to get that level of membership, and then the term of the membership. So these are all annual memberships that I'm setting up. And as you can see, you can even have different tags applied depending on what level of membership you're acquiring. So your golds are 50 for the year. I don't know, I guess I probably have no concept of how much you would charge. Maybe it's a lot more. So there you go. And if we see this now on the live site, you'll see how people can click through and purchase their dues memberships. So it looks like we're having a question about how to tag an attendee. So yeah, we will go through that here when we're having someone sign up for one of our upcoming events. So do we have any questions about setting up dues payment? Or should I charge on ahead? Okay. Excellent. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to go back to my control panel. And we're going to wait for one of our new members to sign up, actually to RSVP for that local meetup we were seeing. Pull out my credit card so I can go ahead and enter that info. So I believe our event was at, we called it local meetup. So I'm now buying a ticket as a new potential member of this association. Buy a silver ticket. And then because I've selected a payment page for it to redirect to, it's going to now dump me off on that page, prompt me to enter my information, and automatically include that $5 charge for me once I complete that info. Notice here that in any action that someone takes on your NationBuilder site, they're going to be prompted whether or not they'd like to receive email updates. So this is going to be how you're also building your email list for your club off of any of these actions, because every action requires someone to provide an email address and the option to opt in to hear from your club newsletters. Now, you'll be able to send targeted messages based on the tags that you're gathering on people. But you may also just have a kind of global list of opted-in supporters for your club that you'll send consistent club updates to. So you see it's already pre-populated my ticket value. And I'll go ahead. Trust that all of you are honest folk and not going to steal my credit card. I'll take that risk. Well, I don't really know how zip codes work in Australia. Oops. I hope that works. Okay. So now I'm reviewing this. Yeah, there's definitely an issue with my bank account. It's my fault. So you won't have this problem when you're using a real valid bank account. So let me go ahead and actually sign into a event that doesn't have a payment associated with it. So Constantina, your question, where can we find the member list? You can easily see it underneath your Finances tab, because memberships are a finances function. Finances is going to allow you to see summaries of everything that's happened for the payments you've processed. And under the memberships tab, you'll be able to both set up the levels of membership you want people to be able to have within your nation, and then also be a quick summary of all of your members. There's 157 folks within this nation that are in fact members.
So I'm basically creating again a list of members, right?
Mm-hmm.
So because at the moment I have a MailChimp account where I have a list of members, and I have another Excel account where you can't see who has paid dues, but it's like a big list of people that are not connected. So through NationBuilder, I basically have only the due paying members.
So what you're actually going to be able to do in NationBuilder, and we don't actually cover this in this training, but there are support documents on the Columbia One website that will walk you through this process. If you can take a list of folks exported from MailChimp and actually import it directly into your NationBuilder database so that they're in your system.
So then they won't have the stars of the due paying, and then we'll slowly build up the stars this way.
Yeah, so you know, you can kind of approach it one of two ways. If they already have paid their dues for this year, you can go in and create membership.
Right. Okay.
For them, and then just import the memberships with the date that they should expire as part of the migration that you do.
Okay. So you count the year from the time they pay, or how do you recommend to count the year?
So that's a good question. I guess that may be a question for the folks at CAA. I don't know what your guys' financial year is, but it could just be, you know, you pick some kind of arbitrary date and then specify for all of the people that you're importing that their membership should expire on the same date if you collected dues from them at some previous time.
Okay, thank you.
So Jackie just said for everyone that CAA's fiscal year is July 1st to June 30th. So it might make sense to have your dues, if you don't have a date in mind, to have them expire on June 30th. Okay. So I'm now ready to sign up for this previous meetup that I had set up that doesn't have tickets. So that we can see what happens to folks that take these actions. So let's try that again. And I'm opting in for email. And see, this event is linked up with Facebook. So I just had someone RSVP, and now as the manager of this nation, if I go to my dashboard, I'll see this new person who signed up. You can see on their profile. All of the information they just provided to me. The point person, who's now responsible for following up and maintaining the relationship. The follow-up reminder, so now when Emily logs into her control panel, she'll see that Jason Columbia is someone she's supposed to contact for outreach or whatever follow-up we specify when we set up the event. And Jason is also now tagged as having RSVP'd for this particular meetup. So we'll be able to identify him and everyone else who RSVP'd by that tag. So now, if we want to go back into that event, we can use that as the vehicle for logging Jason and any other attendees in at the door of the event. So if you're ever looking for a page, you can, when you're under the website tab here, you can actually just start typing in the name of the event in the top right-hand corner, and it'll find it. So there was our alumni meetup event that we were looking at. And to just to review this, under our event settings, we were going to specify that someone gets tagged for RSVPing and attending. Under our event settings, so let's make sure that that's all in place. So we'll also now tag people as attending. And then here, all the way down at the end of the event settings, on the day of the event, we can have someone with an iPad or a laptop at the front door of the event. And for everyone that RSVPs, we can check them in at the door and then update them as having attended. So that's going to mark them as attendees on their profile and also assign them that tag that we just set up under the advanced settings. So this is going to be really great because we now have a really easy way to identify a group of people that we want to send a mass communication to. In this case, everyone who was marked as an attendee, maybe we send them a follow-up email to thank them for coming and encourage them to continue to invite their friends to future events. Now, if you saw when I clicked on that tag just now, it took my database here and sorted by that tag. So now we're seeing only the people who attended that specific event. This is going to now be a really easy vehicle for us to send this mass communication. We'll go into some other ways of grouping people in the database in more complex ways, like combining more criteria than just having a tag. But for now, this is going to be a good way for us to discuss how you might start sending blasts. So in order to draft a email blast, you're going to need to go to your communication tab. And you'll notice here that there's a same way that you can have multiple websites underneath a nation, there can be multiple what we call broadcasters. In NationBuilder, a broadcaster is going to be like a voice of your particular nation, someone that you want to empower to speak out on behalf of your club. Now, this generally will probably be just a few people because you probably have you as the club president as a broadcaster, or maybe you just have a broadcaster that has the name of the club in general. It really depends on how you want to structure it. You want to structure this. Each broadcaster can be linked up with an email address, if you're in the US or Canada, a text messaging number. And then you can also link up a Twitter account or a Facebook fan page for your club here. And that's going to be how NationBuilder pulls in the interactions that people have with you on those specific channels into your database of people. So if you want to see people who like your content on your Facebook page or who RSVP for your linked Facebook events, you'll connect the page here. If you want to be able to see folks who follow you on Twitter, mention you, retweet you, and have them have profiles generated in your NationBuilder database, connect your Twitter account to your broadcaster. But for now, our big focus is going to be to send an email blast from this broadcaster. To those group of people who we marked as attending our local alumni meetup. Create the name of the blast, and then the first thing you're going to do is specify whether or not who you're going to want to target with this email. We'll talk a little bit more about some of these other ways of grouping people in your database, lists and filters, in phase 3. But for now, we're focusing just on being able to target people by tags. So we have that event attend, it was event attend alumni meetup, right? You'll also see here that NationBuilder is going to separate this out between prospects and supporters. For many of your clubs, you're going to generally be communicating with supporters. These are going to be people who've opted in to hear from you for your club updates. Prospects are folks that come into your system that you import. You get them from another source, yet they haven't specifically opted in to hear from you. There's some good process around keeping those separate, specifically because people who aren't expecting to hear from you are much more likely to mark you as a spammer, which can hurt your ability to get your emails delivered even to the people that really want to hear from you. So you see I've selected the tag and supporters, and that brings up my 3 people with the tag. I'll then select a theme for the blast, much like you've got a theme that Columbia has provided to you. I typically just go with the basic one that pulls in the CAA logo. You can then draft the text of your blast. This is going to actually be very similar process if you wanted to include a picture. You do the exact same way we did it when we set up a page on our site. We uploaded the files here and then linked to the picture to embed it. If you want to link back to an action on your NationBuilder website, which is going to always be a good practice to have in your email, some other way that you can gather more data on your members.
Thank you. You printed 2 copies of it.
So if you had a member survey located at that address, you turn it into a link by clicking that link icon, pasting it in. And then save your email. This will then allow you to preview your blast. see what it's going to look like to people who receive it. In text and HTML version. You can send a test to yourself to check it out. Send it right now, or actually schedule it out to go out at a specific time in the future. It has to be at least an hour from now. So that is actually most of the basics for today. I know we just got started a little bit late, so I will stick around to answer any questions people may have. I'll also review right now some of what you'll really want to have in place for phase 3 next week. You'll want to create some of your administrators for your club. So if you haven't yet logged in and created profiles for all of the people that you want to have access to your nation, you should do so before next session. You should also pull a list of your members for us to do the import. Think about what you want different people within your club administration to do within your NationBuilder account. We're going to talk about how you can differentiate roles for people so that folks can only access certain components of your nation. So like someone might be only able to draft email blasts rather than actually send them, or someone might be able to only pull down lists of members but not actually edit them in any way or send emails, modify their website. So think about what makes sense for you to do on that front, who those pesky folks are that'll always screw up the website if you let them anywhere near it. Also be thinking about what types of follow-ups you might want to be structuring for people with your club. You're going to be having people RSVP to your club events and paying their dues, but how do you want to get people more involved with your club community? What are those asks going to be of people? We'll then be applying those to new follow-up types off of the actions that you create. And then also be thinking about what kinds of groupings of information you want to be keeping on people. Maybe you want to figure out what class folks come from, or what particular alumni issues they're most concerned about. Just think through that, brainstorm it, and we can talk through what kind of actions you can set up on your website to gather that information for people.
Can I ask something? It's Constantina. When it comes to the member list, it's my issue, as you can see. We had discussed with Jennifer that there might be a chance to integrate with the current member list of the clubs, because a lot of people, when they sign in at our member list, they give a work email. And lately in Greece, a lot of people have changed jobs or moved away and everything. So we have a lot of bounce backs. So we were thinking whether we can get some info from the database of import some of the Greek members, or at least we know that they are in Greece, into the NationBuilder.
So you're asking. So Jennifer, if you want to address that, you should feel free to. And let me go ahead and unmute this.
I can ask you something else.
No, that's fine. The answer to that question is actually going to be that. So you're getting bounce backs in MailChimp, is what you're saying, and you're wondering if there's a way to scrub your list?
To update the names with. I mean, I have a 2 A4 page Colombia emails that return to me. So these people probably haven't updated, and they don't use the Colombia account. So and they haven't put the new one. So that's.
Whenever you send an email blast in NationBuilder, you're going to get those statistics back of emails that bounced. And as we'll see in our session for phase 3, there's going to be an easy way for you to then target all of the bounce backs and then opt them out of receiving emails from you. And then you probably want to follow up by some other means to try and get a more current email. But it will identify for you automatically those bounce backs on every single blast.
Okay. Something else is regarding the financials. That's also a pain as well. Is it easy to set up, because we have personal account for the club, we cannot have a club account in the bank. So how is it easy to add the bank account with the methods that you are providing? Like we need to open up a PayPal account, obviously, right?
Right.
And how do we put our bank account on the system? Did I miss that?
So there's if you look in chat, Constantina, there's a list of help documents on the Columbia One NationBuilder site, and for things like uploading your member list or linking up your PayPal account, there's specific how-to guides to do that. That'll walk you through that process. It's probably a little bit tough to explain if you haven't created a PayPal account yet, because
I have. So
you have. Okay, so there's going to be a section in there where you generate yeah. So actually, Jennifer just linked directly to that just now in chat. You're going to be able to generate like the password from the bank account and then link that up under those bank accounts that I was showing earlier.
Excellent. And last question. It might be very obvious, but how do I get back to the admin from? It might be obvious, but I can't see it.
Okay. Where would you like to go? So you're here.
I'm in the NationBuilder, the front page with the photograph of Avery and so on. How do I get to my back office?
Okay, totally. So if you're ever wanting to get there, so like my front page is at columbia250.nationbuilder.com. So in order to get into the control panel or back end, you can merely just type / and then admin, and that will take you to your sign-in form.
So just that /admin. Okay, let me check. That makes sense. So /
So, Megan, it looks like you have a question about changing broadcasters. Can you elaborate a little bit? Are you hoping to have people be able to send out messages from different folks? If so, you can always just add a new broadcaster with a different email address. Like currently we have the Columbia Association of Australia. Gonna morph together myself and my colleague Ari's names. And now you've got another email address that you can send from. So again, this video will be available for review as soon as possible. We have the final and third phase of our training coming up next week. Just as a little preview of what to expect. We're going to kind of dive in a little bit more into conceptually how your point people will work with your nation. We'll look at expanding out other ways of building groups of people in your database to communicate with. So we've seen how tags can be helpful, but there's going to be quite a lot more there. Specifically being able to combine tags with other criteria that we have on people in the database, and allow our point people and administrators to build these groups for more complicated outreach than just all right. Thank you everyone for joining today, and we'll see you next week.